Have you ever had everything you thought you wanted? I'm talking about the house, the car, the career, the family, the partner, and yet still felt unfulfilled? On the outside, everything looks all good, but on the inside, you feel discontent. I know that feeling firsthand. And in today's episode, I want to talk about what it really means to be aligned for wealth. Because wealth is more than money, it's a life that feels as good as it looks. Hey, friends, welcome to Align for Wealth podcast. I'm your host, Taydonna Nagel, wealth alignment coach, personal finance educator, and founder of Legendary Wealth Builders. With over 20 years of experience in the financial industry, I've learned something powerful. And that is that the greatest form of compensation is not financial gain. In fact, it's fulfillment. And this podcast is about helping you create wealth that feels as good on the inside, not just look good on the outside. One of the catalysts that got me on the path of pursuing alignment in all areas of my life started back in 2020. It was a Monday morning. I woke up with what I thought at that time was pink eye. My eye was red, it was irritated, but I had to get my kids to school, so I really had to push through. I'm sure y'all working parents know how that could be. But while I was driving my kids to school, the pain got worse. My eyes were sensitive to the light, and I could barely see down the road clearly. Later on that day, I went to urgent care to get some drops because I thought I had red eye. But my eyesight didn't clear up. The redness didn't go away, and my eyes didn't get any better. In fact, it actually got worse. And by the end of the week, I had to schedule an appointment to an ophthalmologist because by that time, my vision had gotten so bad I could barely see my hand in front of my face. And the doctor diagnosed me with something called uveitis, which is inflammation in the eyes caused by my own blood cells attacking themselves. And the doctor told me something shocking. He said that sometimes people with this condition don't get their sight back. So, wow, in that moment, I was devastated. You can imagine. Not just at the thought of losing my vision, which was devastating enough, obviously, but at realizing that I built a life that looked good on the outside, but didn't feel aligned on the inside. You see, I managed to check all the boxes. I had the house, I had the husband, the children, the car. My finances were in order, good credit, savings, all the things. But I didn't have fulfillment, and I definitely didn't have peace. You see, at that time, I was in a 15-year relationship that was absolutely draining emotionally and mentally, and now, apparently, physically too. And when I sat in that doctor's office realizing I may have to depend on this person who didn't even prioritize me enough to be at that appointment with me, I knew something had to change. I had to literally lose my sight to finally see what was bankrupting my life. And here's what I realized. You can have all the right titles, houses, degrees, but if you have a deficit in any area of your life, it will eventually cost you in more ways than money can fix. So after weeks of taking medicated eye drops, my vision was fully restored, thank God. But I wasn't in the clear yet because I had a big decision to make. And I made the very tough decision to release my marriage. Because if I was being honest with myself, I knew that was an area that was at a deficit long before I lost my vision. But I had to go through such a health scare to realize what that relational deficit was really costing me. And here's the truth. In that moment, I wasn't really even worried about the money. I wasn't worried about appearances or what it's going to look like to other people. I was concerned with getting out of there so I could obtain the highest form of compensation, which, like I said, is fulfillment, alignment, and peace. And I'm sure while listening to my story, there may be examples that come up for you in your own life. Times when you realize you traded your peace for appearances or approval. And there's no judgment, no shade, because we've all been there at some point. But the point of this story isn't that you need to leave your significant other. Nobody's telling you to leave your boo. The point is to understand that wealth is about all areas of your life, not just as numbers in your bank account, but as a portfolio of assets that touch every part of our lives. I call this your wealth alignment portfolio. These are 6 asset classes that matter just as much as money. One is relational wealth. This is the people you do life with. Are your relationships nourishing or are they draining? Are these people assets or are they liabilities? Then there's your professional wealth. This is the work you do. Is it purposeful or is it just a paycheck? Then there's financial wealth. Yes, the money, the assets, the investment. But is your money working for you or are you working yourself to the ground? Then there's spiritual wealth, your faith, your values, your grounding practices. What keeps you centered when life starts lifing? Then your emotional wealth, your mental health, your resilience, your inner peace. Do you feel whole or do you feel depleted? And then last but not least, your physical wealth, your health, energy, and vitality. Because without it, nothing else really matters. Now, many of us put most of our focus on the professional and financial parts. Let's keep it real. And while that is not incorrect, it is incomplete. Because if there's a deficit in any of these areas, it's going to impact your overall ability to align for wealth, whether you realize it or not. So let me ask you, if you had to score yourself 1 through 10 in each of these areas right now, how balanced would your portfolio be? Take a moment and really think about that. Because most of us, myself included at times, was over leveraged in one area and bankrupt in another. You have to think of this like carrying around 6 glasses, each one representing your wealth alignment portfolio. Now, if one of those glasses get empty, say your emotional wealth, what do you do? If you're like most people, you're going to start pouring from one of your financial or professional glasses to try to fill that void. But the truth of the matter, it doesn't matter how much you pour from another, it doesn't quite fill the other. And eventually, you're depleted in an area. And that's why so many people burn out. Not because they don't have money, but because they're over leveraged or they've neglected the other glasses in their portfolio. Now, many of us are conditioned to work harder. Raise your hand, because I know I have been. This can look like chasing titles, chasing the image, chasing a photo op of what you think it should look like, just chasing all the stuff that society tells us that we should have. We go back to school, we get another degree, another job, we get a promotion, and we may even start a business, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that any of these things are bad, but sometimes being busy is a distraction from the real problem because I've been there. I know I've been booked and busy, distracting myself from areas in my life that needed attention. And I see this with so many clients who look wealthy by society standards, big house, successful businesses, nice cars, beautiful families, but they can't even enjoy the life they've built because they're exhausted or they feel like they're living a double life. The life that the public sees, then the life that they're actually experiencing. And what struck me most was that most of them don't actually have a money problem. They have a misalignment problem. And that's the heart of what we're doing here on this podcast. I'm teaching you how to step into your most aligned, authentic self. That's when you become a magnet for aligned wealth and abundance. So, how do we make this practical? Each week, I'll give you an aligned move of the week, which is a simple, actionable step to help you shift into alignment. This week's move is a reflection exercise. I want you to take 10 minutes, no phone, no distractions. I know you're a busy professional, you're a busy leader, but you could devote 10 minutes to your own personal development. and write down one authentic desire you have in each of these 6 areas of your wealth alignment portfolio: relationally, professionally, financially, spiritually, emotionally, and physically. Write down one desire that you truly want in each of these areas. Now, make sure you write down what you truly desire and what feels authentic to you. Because sometimes we have a habit of writing down what we think we should want, what you think others are expecting you to put. But I don't want you to do any of that. I want you to write down what you actually want, what you desire, what lights you up. Then, after you write down one desire from all 6 of those categories, I want you to look back over your list and circle the one thing that feels the most exciting to you. And that is the area where I want you to start with first, because that's where a true alignment is going to start coming in for you. And if you want to go deeper, share one of those desires with me on Instagram. My social media handle is at legendary_wealth builders. Now, this isn't for approval purposes because you don't need my approval for your desires, but it is for accountability and celebration because your desires deserve to be seen, spoken, honored, and celebrated. Yes. So here's what this podcast is going to be all about: giving you the language to name your desires and the tools to align your finances and your life with those actual desires. And of course, the strategies to multiply your money and your impact without losing yourself in the process. This is the space to gain clarity, courage, and confidence to chase the goals and the life that fulfills you. And we're just getting started, boo. In the upcoming episodes, we'll talk about practical money strategies you can use right away, mindset shifts that free you from burnout, and stories from myself and others who've aligned their wealth in powerful ways. So thank you for joining me for this very first episode of Align for Wealth. And if this message resonated with you, hit that follow or subscribe button, share it with a friend, and stay tuned because together we're going to create a wealthy life that feels as good as it looks. Until next time, remember, stay aligned and stay wealthy.